This happened 6 years ago, when I was 16 years old. One day, my mom and dad were going to a concert in California. So one of my friends came to stay with me for the night. We played games together, had snakes, and a few hours later, when we got tired of watching movie Netflix, we went to sleep. I was falling asleep when I heard a loud noise as if someone had broken our window. I was scared and woke up my friend. And of course he got angry. "Let's go." Why did I get up when I didn't have an explanation and dragged him with me into the bathroom? I was unconscious. I wanted to see if anyone was there or not. As if someone was running towards us until I locked the door. Someone said in a loud but soft voice to open the door, but we didn't say anything. He stood there for a few seconds and then kicked the door hard. "Otherwise, I will kill you all." We were very scared. But before he came in, they quickly took a pair of scissors. He suddenly took the scissors from my hand and put them in. I felt a severe pain in my arm and I thought that we were done. I closed my eyes when suddenly my friend punched him in the face. He hit and took the knife from him. I went to help him. I punched him in the throat and my friend threw him on the floor. Finally, we were able to get out of the bathroom before he could run away from the sofa. Now we panicked and put him behind the door and imprisoned him. It was impossible for him to escape. I called the police. 10 minutes later, 3 policemen came and went. They encountered a sea of blood. They brought him out and arrested him. Finally, our nightmare was over. We found out that the party was a serial thief who had mental problems and was sentenced to prison for 10 years. And after that, I never had the same experience again. I am glad that my friend was with me that night. Otherwise, God, what will happen? I always owe my life to him. It was winter and near Christmas when I was 25 years old. I was going to see some of my friends. They were in the city and it was 4 hours away from our place. So I decided to go with my car instead of a taxi. It was my first time. At the same time, excited, I closed my suitcase in the middle of the night and put the trunk and started walking. It was a cold day, but the road was not icy. And there was no traffic because it was a holiday and people mostly preferred to be at home with their families rather than hit the road. I am not a person. I want to go straight to my destination. I don't like to rush. Well, I am very active in cyberspace and I post pictures and videos of myself all the time and everywhere. This trip was the best excuse for my new post. The road I was on had a wonderful view and the place where my friend lives. It was even more dreamy from here. I kept stopping to take pictures along the way. I was enjoying myself when suddenly the weather changed. It was around 6 in the afternoon and I was driving. I still had a long way to go and at the time it started to snow. Of course, not normal snow, heavy snow. After 15 minutes, the road was full of snow. I was stressed because it was getting dark and I hadn't reached the middle of the road. The nearest gas station I found is to keep it, but unfortunately I couldn't find a gas station. An hour later, I finally saw a light in the distance. It was a gas station. I gasped and quickly went there. I parked my car and went inside. A bad storm started. It was small and there were a few seats. The guy behind the counter was a normal guy. He didn't talk much. He just asked me, "Where are you going in this weather?" Then I bought a handful of chips and a drink and sat on the seat. It was night. I was eating my chips and scrolling through Instagram. The store opened and a strange man entered the store. He had long greasy hair and was wearing a long coat. He bought a few cigarettes and sat a little further away from me. He did not look at me at all. It was small, and the smell of his cigarette quickly filled the air. The seller told him not to smoke, sir, but he didn't listen to him. He couldn't take it out because of the storm, so he didn't say anything. But I hated smoking. This strange man had his head down, and the sound of his breathing was very heavy. It was as if he was breathing in my ear. When he lit his fifth cigarette, I couldn't bear it, and angrily told him that he just stared at me for a few minutes. His big eyes were red with anger, but then he smiled and put out his cigarette. His smile was scary. I sat down again, and I distracted myself with my phone. Then my friend called and said, "Where are you? Why haven't you arrived yet?" As soon as he got close to him, he stopped and screamed madly. The sailor and I had struck because of fear. After that, he did not come back. At the age of 15, we went to a house that my father had rented because of his job. We were supposed to stay there for 2 months. My father and I were very satisfied with the appearance of the house, and we quickly brought our things inside. We spent the whole day arranging the house and we were getting used to it. I had to sleep in my room because I was very tired from moving furniture. My room had a bed, a mirror, my computer, and a closet. I turned off the lights and slept. In the middle of the night, I heard voices coming from the half-open closet. I didn't move. I just opened my eye a little, and what I saw was all the hair. I was scared. I jumped out of my bed and they screamed and ran to my mom and dad who were sitting there. I told them what I saw in this closet. My mom hugged me and my dad went to my room. He checked the closet, but there was nothing there except a few clothes. Later, he told me that you must have had a nightmare and told me to sleep peacefully. My heartbeat became normal. He turned off the light and said goodnight to me and left the room. Before leaving, my mother told me that when he opens it until the light comes and I can sleep better. But when he left, I couldn't close my eyes. I was afraid to close them. Dad had checked the closet and I knew there was nothing there. Anyway, I tried to calm myself down and sleep. But before that, I turned on my phone camera and turned to the closet, which was completely closed. I left my camera closed. It was like a third eye that was paying attention to the closet. It was morning, and despite what happened last night, I had slept well. I saw that my phone was still recording and I taped it. Then I took a great shower and brushed my teeth. I had breakfast with mom and then we left. My father was watching TV and my mother was reading a magazine. I was bored. I said to go to check the video. I turned on the phone and increased the speed. After 3 hours of absolute silence, there was a knock-knock sound. I quickly turned the video off and it rang again. And after that, the closet door opened slowly. I was shocked to see a hand coming out of his hair and he opened the closet door to the end. A person like a nun came out from the closet. His face was completely covered with a veil. I saw him coming towards my bed until he reached. He took off my bed and to my surprise, I saw that he had a very beautiful face. He was smiling and looking at me. He had a warm smile. His smile got bigger and he showed his beautiful white teeth. And then his smile got bigger and bigger. My eyes started to pop out of his sockets. The color was plaster. He didn't want to kill me, but it was last night and I am alive now. Then the sound of someone's footsteps came. The nun looked at the door and quickly went to the closet. Mom or Dad must have come to check on me and save me like this. When the video I showed it to my mom and dad, she got scared. We left the house that day and her stupid owner didn't believe us even after seeing the video. He thought I made it to scare him. I was 11 years old. I had gone to my friend's house and we had a good time. At night, I went to their house for about a quarter to 20 minutes. It was December and it was dark and icy outside. I had to walk carefully. I was walking and saw a man standing on the other side of the street a little far from me. He was alone at that moment, but a car came towards him. It was a long street and I was looking at him while I was walking. I saw that he was talking to someone in the car. Suddenly he stared at me and then he followed me with his eyes like this. He said, "Hey beautiful, hey, come here, hey." I got scared and I made my steps faster and he understood and ran after me with all his strength. The streets were covered with snow and ice, and I was just trying not to eat. I was crying and I was running, but he was running too fast. I looked back and saw that my car was coming slowly. Suddenly he reached out his hand and wanted to grab my shirt, but thank God he couldn't, and I ran towards the first house whose light was on. I knocked on the door of that house. The only chance. Finally, an old couple opened the door and quickly went inside, and I explained everything to them. The husband went out to find the intruder. The dirt was standing at the end of the street, and he was staring at him, and then he ran away. My mom called the police, and for 4 days he didn't let me go to school. That man was never found. I still buy flowers for that kind couple and leave them behind the door. They saved my life. God knows if that man had called me, something would have happened to me. I mean, what did that disturbing man want to do with me that night? I have a sister who got married when she was 19 years old. She had a daughter named Susie. Her husband was unemployed. My sister had to work 2 shifts to support herself, her child, and her husband. She left home at 8 a.m. every day and returned to Susie's house at 8 p.m. During this time, she had an imaginary friend. She told my sister that there was a girl named Jessica. Susie always talked about that girl. My sister even saw her talking to Jessica. She got scared and told her daughter that you don't have the right to talk to Jessica anymore, even us. When we went to my sister's house, we didn't have the right to mention Jessica's name. One day Susie told her mom that Jessica is angry with you because you don't believe in her existence. When you go to work and Dad locks me in the closet, Jessica comes to play with me. But before you come back, Dad let me come out. My sister was shocked. Her stupid husband was supposed to take care of Susie, but instead he imprisoned her in the closet with a box of cornflakes and left her there all day. It was dark and lonely in the closet. She had made an imaginary friend for herself. My sister divorced her husband and took custody of Susie from her. And he said, I always worry about your little girl. Because of the stairs to the basement, my granddaughter fell down the stairs and broke her neck. She fell right in front of this closet. My sister's hair stood on end. She asked what her name was. Your granddaughter's name was Jessica. But the old man told her her name was Jessica. She was only 4 years old. She couldn't say her name was correctly. How did you know her name was Jessica? How did my sister hit herself? She awaited the answer, took her last belonging, and left that house. We are still not allowed to talk about Susie Jessica's imaginary friend, my sister. A few years later, he got married again and Susie got a loving stepfather. But he still talks about that little girl and her face and tells us about her. And I get worried and scared. Of course, I don't believe in these things, ghosts and jinns and things like that. But really, I don't know how Susie was able to recognize that little girl. Maybe ghosts are real, maybe not.